Hello guys, today I'm doing my, as soon as I start talking the peep starts squeaking. Hi guys, today I'm doing my mid-July wrap-up. I figured I would do it this way instead of doing a big wrap-up at the end because I have been reading quite a few books in the past few months and my videos have been getting really long, so I figured I would try to split it up a little bit for you guys. I don't anticipate reading a ton of books between now and the end of the month, but I figured this would be easier so you guys don't have to watch super long videos. If you like me doing videos this way, just let me know. I figured that this would allow me to be able to talk more about the books that I read instead of just saying this was awesome or this wasn't awesome. So without further ado, I'm just going to get started. The first book that I read this month was Between the Lines by Jodi Picoult and Samantha Van Leer. This was getting a lot of buzz in the past month because the Booksplosion book of the month, I think for June, was Off the Page, which I have not yet read this month, but I do have it over there on my nightstand. Hopefully I can finish it at the end of the month. The two books are kind of companions to each other, although you don't have to read this book before you read the other one. I had heard from others that they wish they had read this one first. I thought this plot sounded interesting, so I wanted to read this one before I read the other. This is about a 15-year-old girl who finds a storybook, a one-of-a-kind storybook, in her school's library. There's only one of the storybook in the world. She happens to find it. It is a fairy tale about a prince who saves a princess, and one day she opens the book and the prince starts talking to her. So throughout the story, she and the prince sort of fall in love, and it is their journey of sort of trying to get him out of the book. So that's what the book is about. I gave this book 4.5 stars out of 5. I wanted to give it 5 stars, but for some reason after thinking about it, I was just like, no, 4.5 is good. I know a lot of people felt that this was very juvenile and didn't like it because of that. I personally didn't mind that it was a little young for me because I love fairy tales and Disney and princes and all that stuff. So I loved this. I thought it was so sweet. I went through it really fast. I was just flipping pages, and I'm a slow reader, so getting through this fast for me was a big deal. I just thought it was a really fun read. It made me smile, and I was sick when I was reading this, so it just made me really happy and put me in a good mood. So I definitely liked this. I wanted to pick up Off the Page immediately after this, but I had to put it on hold at the library. I have it now, I just haven't gotten to that yet this month. I am really excited to read that book as well. The next book that I read this month I don't have here with me because I had to return it to the library. It was Talon by Kagawa. That is her story about dragons. It is the first book in her series, and I think the series is just called Talon. I believe there's only one other book out after the first one right now. So basically the story follows two dragons, a brother and sister, and they're 16 years old, and they are being put into the world to assimilate just for the summer for 3 months, and it's supposed to teach them how to act in human society, and after their 3 months are up, then they are going to go to further training to be put into whatever faction they fit into in the dragon society. On the flip side, the other narrator is Garrett, who is a soldier of the order that hunts the dragons, and so we see both perspectives, and then we also get a perspective of a dragon who has left the dragon society. So Garrett is dispatched from the order to hunt down and kill the dragons in the area, and it's sort of that story of, you know, him trying to figure out who the dragon is, and then like romances develop here and there, and it's pretty interesting. I know a lot of people were actually really disappointed with this book, so I was expecting it to be really disappointing, but I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars because obviously it was the first in the series and I wasn't super in love with it, but I thought it was a great foundation for the series. It definitely made me interested in the rest of the series. I can't believe I have to wait like 5 more books to see how it all is going to resolve. I have no idea what is going to happen later in the series. And I actually really enjoyed the romance in the story. I do agree with some people that the love triangle felt a little forced. I feel like there's very obviously someone that the main girl should be with, and they kind of threw in another one as like a sexual attraction kind of thing, and I just don't really see it. I see it more as a mentor-mentee relationship, but we'll see how it goes. It might develop even more throughout the story. I hope it does because the story has so much potential. I was really impressed and I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and I got through it pretty quickly, so I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I read this month was the star of the year so far, and I have my mid-year book freakout video that I'm going to post shortly after this where I talk more about it, and I'm going to have a video review up on it as well. and that is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. If any of you follow me on Goodreads or Twitter or anything, you know I have been freaking out about this book. This is my first Colleen Hoover book, and I had no idea this book was going to be worth all of the Colleen Hoover hype, and it so was. If I could have given this 100 stars, then I would have. It was so far and beyond 5 stars. I was in love with this book. I don't even know how much really to say. I'm still kind of in shock, which is why I haven't filmed my video review for this yet, but I just have so many thoughts on this book that I want to share them with you guys. So I won't delve too much into those kind of thoughts because I am going to post my video review, and I talked a little bit about this in my mid-year book freakout. I will link both of those videos whenever they're posted in the description box. This book, it was just so amazing. It was so heartbreaking and sad, but it was just so good. This book affected me in ways I had no idea that it would. I was hooked. I think I wrote a blog post sort of kind of talking about my feelings about New Adult, and I said something along the lines of, you know, 20 pages in, I was hooked, and 50 pages in, I decided I wanted to buy it, and 80 pages in, I decided it was my favorite book of the year. 120 pages in, I decided it was the best book I've ever read. So, and that's not even halfway through. So that's how I felt about this book. And I was telling my sister, I want to read more Colleen Hoover, but I have no idea how all the other books can be just as good as this one, because this was so good. And my sister, she's read Hopeless, and she was like, just wait. Just keep reading them, because, which I plan to, but I just have no idea how they can even compare to this book because it was so amazing. Honestly, I could have read this book in a day, but the day I started it, my boyfriend came over and hung out, and I actually read this on my Kindle while he watched TV and did things for a softball tournament that he's planning, and I could have gotten much farther if I wasn't distracted with talking to him and helping him the whole time, but after that I had to stop it and put it down because I know Colleen Hoover's books are really heartbreaking, and I was so afraid that I was going to hate the ending. But a couple days later, I finally picked it up and just finished the whole thing. My reading process for this was pretty hilarious. I read it on 3 different mediums. I actually started it on my Kindle. I had rented it from my library, and I started it on my Kindle, and then my boyfriend and I went to the beach, and he played soccer with his friends, and I didn't think to bring a book, so I downloaded the Kindle app on my phone, and I read it on my phone at the beach, and then ran errands with my mom the next day and read it in the car while she and my sister ran errands. And then instead of just moving from my phone, I just kept reading it on my phone the whole rest of that day, and then for the last like 4 or 5 chapters I read it in the physical copy because I just wanted to get the full effect of the book. So I don't know if I'm going to even leave all that into this video because I am going to do a video review and I'll probably say all that over again, but this was just so good and I really recommend that you pick up this book, and gosh, so amazing. I'm going to stop now. The most recent book that I have read this month was Twisted Perfection by Abby Glines. This is the first book in the Perfection series that is part of the larger series, Rosemary Beach, and this follows a character named Woods that you meet in the first 2 books of the Too Far series. And I loved Woods from the first series. He was one of my favorite characters, so I was really excited for this book. And actually I was a little bit let down for the first part of the book because I felt that Woods was much different than I expected. He was such a good friend and so sweet in the first couple of books, and then to read this and actually see in his head and kind of how he referred to women and stuff, I was just really surprised. It seemed very out of character for him. But as the story goes on and he starts developing feelings for the female in the book, he changes, and the way he describes her and talks about her and feels about her changes. So that definitely got much better and I was really impressed. The only thing is that I felt that a lot of things were just too similar with the Too Far series, and maybe if I had read this one first and then the Too Far series I would feel it about that instead of this, but kind of the way that the sexual scenes are done are very, very similar. The way Woods talks, the words that he uses are just very, very similar to the words that Rush uses in the first book. There are some lines that I just thought came right out of the other books. Like, for instance, there's one time when he walks in a room and he says, "Tell me to leave and I'll leave because otherwise I won't be able to stay away from you." Like, I'm pretty sure Rush says almost the exact same thing in the Too Far series. And it just didn't have a ton of variety as far as the intimate times between the two characters. Those scenes weren't as artfully crafted as I have seen in other books, like Ugly Love, for example. It was good. I really enjoyed it, and I came to really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars because I didn't think it was as good as the Too Far series. I had my problems with the characters, but I really loved how this handled mental illness and how they included it in this book, because I appreciated that there was a character who had mental illness but was still really strong and fun and all that stuff. So I just really appreciated that aspect of the book. The character growth was really great in this book because I just started out really disgusted with the 2 characters, and then I ended up really enjoying them. And especially the female lead, she has more of a different air about her than we normally get in females in stories like this. She was very comfortable with her sexual prowess, I guess, and her sexuality and things, and she didn't shy away from those kind of things like a lot of other girls do in stories like this. So I was just really impressed that the author had sort of more variety with the females in her stories. So I really appreciated that. I didn't think it was the most amazing book I've ever read, so no 5 stars. I didn't think it was as good as the Too Far series, but I still really enjoyed it, and I would still recommend that you keep going with this series if you finish the Too Far series. Woods is super sweet, and I love him, and it's so funny because I was really disappointed with him in the beginning, but I ended up really proud of him and very happy. This also ends with a really big cliffhanger, and it's not the kind of cliffhanger you would think. Like, I wasn't expecting it at all, and I can't wait to pick up the next one. So now this video has gone on 15 minutes, and I was trying to avoid that, so I will just quickly go ahead and tell you guys what I am currently reading. I am currently a little less than halfway through Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. I am loving this book, obviously, of course. It's just so thick, so I wanted to read other books while I read this one, at least in the beginning anyway. So I am currently reading that, and I am reading Forever Too Far by Abby Glines, which is the 3rd book in the Too Far series that, like I was just talking about in the Rosemary Beach series. So I'm currently reading that as well. Hopefully I can finish these 2 by the end of the month, as well as a couple more. I anticipate that there will be probably 2 books that I've got sitting over there that I won't finish by the end of the month, and that is Sweet Evil and Off the Page. So I'll just have to carry those over to the next month, because those on my nightstand are kind of longish, and I'm going to be gone visiting my boyfriend's family for 4 days, and then when I come home there's another day that I'll be gone all day for my friend's 21st birthday. I'm driving up to see him as well, so I'm anticipating that I won't finish as many books this month as I originally hoped, but that's okay. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you like the way I'm doing these videos, if you like that I talk about the books a little bit more, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye everyone!